Alrighty, boys and girls, ladies and gents, caballeros y damas, ya es la hora de Mind Your Biz, and welcome back. Sorry, I was about to get started with a bilingual show there. I was going to say sábado. The thing is, it's actually lunes. It's not really sábado, so I can't say that. Welcome back. My name is Seth. You're watching the Mining Market Signal. And if you have not already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, make it explode, and then gently make the bell icon go bing and turn on all notifications so you know when we go live and when we have additional value-added content going out. We bring this straight to you several times a week, some that is post-edited, some that is live, like tonight. Your comments are going to show up on screen, as you will see as we check into the Fear and Greed Index. Oh, I lied. You know what? I need to get that set up. But I'll be getting that set up as we go. But yeah, just so that you're aware, your comments, they come through, and you don't need to like super chat, and you don't need to be any kind of like, paid membership subscriber or anything. We just have a fun time and we just talk. So bring those comments through. If you have a question, ask it. If you have an answer to a question, give that answer, right? Be the mentor you wish you had when you first got started in cryptocurrency. Who knows? You might help save somebody from getting wrecked. And who knows? You might help somebody save a lot of time in setting up their very first mining rig. Sharing is caring, guys. And I mean, really, as a community, we can always do a little bit better than the people who were around when we got started, right? So I'm going to live make the changes necessary to our live comments widget. So you should be able to see as we go, should be able to see your comments. There we go. Pull through real time. All right, guys, Fear and Greed Index has a score of 75, and that puts us into extreme greed, or greed at least, rather. It's right at that crossover point between greed and extreme greed. So yeah. So yeah, we're still in that very, very high greed state. It's a pretty big deal, guys. This is indicative to me that we need to be making our plans. We need to be cautiously optimistic, right? We need to be paying attention to what's going to happen in the coming weeks and months. And it's not to say that we can't continue to go up higher from here. Bitcoin totally can, but it can also precipitously drop. So if you are dollar cost averaging, if you're like you've heard me say I'm doing, then just be aware that anything can happen now, right? Like the horses are running wild in a way. So first off, I should just say none of this is meant to be legal, financial, or business advice, right? You know the drill. I just red carded you or whatever, gave you the red screen of death, red screen of life, really. Red screen of do your own research, red screen of don't get wrecked. That's what that red screen is, because you got to do your own research, guys. At the end of the day, you're responsible for your own choices, and I'm just another dude on YouTube who's standing in front of a black sheet in his office, right? So yeah, just consider the source. Just saying. I mean, yes. I'm not gonna try to like undersell myself here, but I don't want to oversell myself either, right? We're all learning new things. So that Fear and Greed Index, guys, at 75, that tells me that we need to be paying attention to what comes next. There are some people looking at the stock to flow model, and they've adjusted it to be the stock to FOMO model, which is kind of funny, right? The idea that if the debasement of the US dollar and the hyperinflation of the US dollar continues, then the stock to flow model that normally follows the 4-year halving cycle of Bitcoin could go parabolic, and it could go parabolic to the point of it almost being cartoonish, that it's just sort of like waves its way up, right, in a sawtooth pattern up until Bitcoin functionally becomes infinitely valuable, right? That's an interesting idea, and I think that there's some merit to that over time. But in the next 2 months, I don't think so, right? Like we're not going to see all of that, those expectations, those hopes be compressed into the next like 2 months or few weeks, right? We have to be cautious in the meantime and make our best effort not to lose our shirts by trying to go like all in, right? You wouldn't go all in on brand new projects that you see launching without a lot of faith. You certainly wouldn't put in more than you could afford to lose. So that bears mentioning now with Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin in a way is fully de-risked, right? It's fully de-risked. It's just, it becomes a risk on asset when you choose to create massive positions. Like when you go in with a position size that's just far bigger than what you can afford to lose. So anyway, guys, I'm getting kind of like droning on here on this point, but I think it bears mentioning, bears repeating, right, multiple times. Just be careful, guys. Be really, really careful about what you do there. This is the trend of the Fear and Greed Index. Again, we're not even a month out from when we were still in extreme fear. So having that massive swing on the other side is what has me so concerned about this, guys. So yeah, just be really, really careful. Got some comments coming in. First off, let me give some shout outs. Zotrak is here, Golden Wolf, Greg Moravec, Cryptid Youth, Gallo, Salome is here, Integra Guy is in the house, MC, as well as CC19. Great to see you all here, guys. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you being here live. Appreciate you hitting that thumbs up button, sharing this video while we're live, right? So we have more friends to chat with. So pretty darn cool to have people here. But this is the trend, guys. We're not strangers to this trend. And I'm going to continue to bring up the trend line for the Fear and Greed Index over the coming days and maybe a couple of weeks. So we look back on this and just remember this is where we came from, that it was not that long ago that people were feeling extremely fearful. And so for people to be so incredibly bullish and greedy now, we should be a little bit wary of that, in my opinion. So jumping into some of the news, because these are sentiment-driven markets, it's pretty much news stories that dictate whether or not we're going to feel a certain way. So let's jump into some of the news articles that, may be causing that. Biggest thing right now in a lot of people's minds is the Bitcoin ETF that was approved, or is going through approval right now. So this is by Tim Copeland over on theblockcrypto.com, and there is not a link in the description of this video yet at the time of recording, but I will put one in after we are done tonight. But it goes over the fact that this is not a futures ETF, it is a spot ETF. And there is a difference. Holy cow, I got to be more careful with my buttons. This is why it's such a bummer that I don't have my Stream Deck totally running the way I need it to on Linux. I actually had to retire it from my Linux workstation for right now. Maybe I can get this running again, but I sometimes hit the wrong buttons when I don't have it on my workstation. But the difference between a futures and a spot ETF just has to do with time frames, has to do with custodianship, or actually no, custodianship is applicable in either case, but it has to do with a couple of those smaller details, but there are some details that matter in terms of that difference. As far as it being approved and that being bullish, guys, I'm going to say something that might sound a little bit controversial to some, to others, it'll just make sense. In 2017, there was an ETF that was proposed, and it was not actually approved or denied until late August of 2018, when it was denied. Right? When that ETF failed to go through, the one that was proposed in 2017, the price didn't move. It didn't affect the price one bit immediately. And rewind even farther back, there was an ETF that was proposed clear back in 2013, but was not actually approved or denied until March of 2017. Well, March 10th of 2017, when that ETF was denied, what happened to the price of Bitcoin? It dipped for approximately a day or two, and then it actually went up to its all-time high in less than a month after that. What I'm saying is that ETFs don't seem to really control the price of Bitcoin overall, certainly not for retail, and they don't seem to control the ultimate destiny of Bitcoin. Certainly, they've got nothing to do with the origin of Bitcoin, which is to try to keep derivative products like exchange-traded funds, futures, and other contracts. That was not really the intent, I think, of Bitcoin in the first place. So when ETFs don't pass, when they fail to get pushed through, it doesn't seem to affect Bitcoin very negatively. It's very anti-fragile. So I'm not too worried about this being like the make or break of this bull run when this Bitcoin ETF goes through. If anything, it's business as usual. We're going to see people enter the market and people exit the market on their own terms and trading on the platforms that support the kinds of financial instruments that they want to see there. And the ETF may fit the needs of a certain investor profile, but for me, I like actually owning my coins, right? This is not actually a hardware. Well, let's pretend like it is though for a minute, a little visual aid here. I like actually owning and custodying my own coins. And an ETF, It doesn't offer me anything as far as that goes. So I'm not too worried about that like being transformative to my experience of Bitcoin or my experience of cryptocurrency in general. You tell me in the comments, are you excited about the Bitcoin ETF? Because I don't want to I don't want to throw a, I don't want to be a wet blanket. I don't want to be a stick in the mud for your party, rain on your parade. If you're excited about it, tell me why in the comments section, because I'd love to hear from you. Why are you excited about a Bitcoin ETF? Why are you excited about an exchange traded fund of any cryptocurrency? Are you not excited about it? Is there anything about it that for you is like gets your dander up, like gets your undies in a wad, grinds your gears? Tell us. We want to know why it grinds your gears. So yeah, just be aware that we're looking for everybody's feedback there. But here's some other news that I think is kind of affecting markets today in general. And this isn't as direct as far as the cryptocurrency markets as you might think, but it's not as indirect as you might think. It's all interconnected, right? So the Apple event today, there was Altcoin Daily. Bless your heart. If you're watching, if you happen to see this, Altcoin Daily, bless your heart. I think it was a really, really cool tweet that was sent out, but it was maybe a little bit on the clickbaity side where he said, there's going to be like Apple's having their event today and you really haven't bought any more Ethereum, like hinting that there was going to be some sort of wallet support built into the new version of iOS or into an upcoming handset or an iPad or something. And then, thousands of likes, like thousands of upvotes on Twitter, and then multiple retweets on Twitter. And everybody got really excited, thinking like, oh yeah, this news probably dovetails in some meaningful way. There's probably something coming from Apple. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit out of it. Probably something coming from Apple right now that is going to support cryptocurrencies in general. And if that's true, then this is huge, right? Like this is awesome. And it's an exciting time to hold Apple stock. And it's also an exciting time to have Bitcoin and to have Ethereum, because that's what he was alluding to, or the team at Altcoin Daily was alluding to, was that there may be some kind of a tie-in between Apple and Ethereum. And lo and behold, well, the actual announcement was a little bit less exciting in that regard. So going through Gizmodo, there are a couple of other sites, and these are just the popular sites that cover this sort of technology, guys. So I apologize. We need a high-level overview here, though. So some of the biggest and most important things that came out of the event. Well, they say they got the Apple Music plan, and they're excited about that. For my part, I say phooey. Music plan? Really? Didn't we used to own our own music? Even when it was a digital file, like an MP3, or even their version, right? The AAC, the advanced authoring, or advanced audio codec. I don't know that I really get too excited about that. The HomePod Mini, all I see here are spying devices. I'm not too excited about that either. So really, this is 2 for 2 that are kind of not my favorite thing coming out of this Apple event. But some people get really excited about this, right? So Gordon in the comments says, I listen to Pandora with commercials and all because I'm cheap. Yeah, I you know what? We're going to change that right now, Gordon. I don't always do this, guys, but I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to help change your life, my friend. We'll just go over it while we're taking a look at some of I know it's a news segment, but we're going to go over a tool that I think is going to matter to you guys. So let me jump back out of this view, and you can see the very top listing in my search on DuckDuckGo for FreeTube is freetubeapp.io. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. freetubeapp.io. I know it looks kind of like rough around the edges. It's not super polished or anything, but this looks kind of like a web browser, right? Just like your standard garden variety web browser. But wait, there's more than meets the eye. It does all kinds of stuff. It lets you set up your own anonymous subscriptions if you want them. And hey, Sir John, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, man. I'm a little bit, guys. I'm actually really out of it because had a long day doing media production and client work, and then I was trying to get ready to go live tonight, taking the family out to eat, and we got stuck in the drive-thru for like 45 minutes, and we rarely eat out at all. And then the one time we go to eat out in 2 weeks, a month or something. And we're stuck in the car, just sitting in the car for 45 minutes. It's just sitting there like thinking about how hungry you are and thinking about how late I'm going to be to getting back to the live stream. It's just, yeah. Gordon Murray says that's what you get for eating out. He's not wrong, man. Right? Like we had a wonderful dinner last night where we, made some not some steamed rice. We just used like whatever. It's a little like pressure cooker, right, to make some rice and steamed veggies and had some fish and stuff. I mean, it was a wonderful meal, like objectively great, and we made it in like 15 minutes. Compare that to going to eat out, the convenience food. What a load of hooey. Gosh darn it. Anyway, jump out of the way here and show you up. So guys, freetubeapp.io. This has kind of changed my experience. This and other YouTube viewers. Now on my Android device, right? So on the Mind Your Biz phone, I use an application called NewPipe, and it uses a custom backend that allows me to view anything that's hosted on YouTube anonymously. Well, FreeTube app is kind of like NewPipe, that Android application, that open source Android application, but for the desktop. It runs on Mac OS, on Windows, or on Linux, and it lets me watch YouTube however I want to. So I can port my subscriptions. I can keep my identity private from Google while I use their platform. I can, well, it doesn't say it here, but I'm going to show you a screenshot there. You know what? It might not even show it there. Let me go ahead and I'll pop this thing open live on my desktop, because as you know, I'm now on Garuda Linux. So that's my daily driver. Where are you? Here it is. So this is, there we go. So I'm going to look up, gosh, who should we look up? Who's an important person to follow right now in cryptocurrency? Well, we're just going to randomly search for Satoshi. Okay, so here we go. A bunch of listings come up. Not too shocking, right? We see that there. Channel 4 News. Open that up. Oh, I'm going to need to update this in a minute. I actually need to do a global update on my system right now. But see this? I'll scroll down. And what's this? What does this button do? Oh, well, when I click on it, you can see very well what it does. It shows me every possible file that can be directly pulled from the server. It's just so much easier, guys. It's so much easier than all of the other options in that respect. And it's just, and it plays nicely, and it plays in the background, and it can play in audio only mode if you want it to. If you want to just have playlists set up to make it stream just the music, you can do that. Why? Because they're just files on a server. They're just files on a server that are supposedly public, right? So yeah, maybe it breaks the terms of use. I've got to be a little more cautious about this. I don't think it breaks the terms of use, right? That doesn't break the terms of use. The terms of use. I mean, here we go. I'll say it in a more hand-wavy sort of way. It doesn't break the terms of use. See, we're good now. All right, jump out of the way here. And yeah, anyway, guys, just I saw somebody suffering in the comment section, and I just can't stand for it. I can't, guys. I can't let you live another minute without knowing better, right? Like, you need to know that stuff like this exists for you. These are ways to make your life better. So anyway, here we are back on that Apple announcement though. I see this thing though, the HomePod Mini, and all I think of is like, oh wow, the fancy new wiretap comes in more colors. This is amazing. So thank goodness my wife is not one of those Apple loyalist ladies who's like, you know what, you better give me an iPhone or else I'm going to call my mom. She's going to call you, and she's going to let you have it. No, thank goodness my wife became unbrainwashed some years ago and is totally on board with the idea of living a Google-free and Apple-free life, and Microsoft-free if we can possibly avoid it. Get all of big tech out of our life wherever possible. So I really feel like, guys, I married up so much. I don't even know what I did to deserve it. Maybe I don't deserve it, and maybe I didn't do anything. But I just feel like a really lucky guy. So yeah, they have their new earbuds, which is exciting. But here's the thing: almost without fail, every single time they release new earbuds like this, what do you see coming out of the sort of generic Chinese shops on Alibaba and AliExpress? That's right, the exact same audio processing chip in some in some commodity piece there. Some goblin loser, I don't know, says, hey, yo, good to see you, man. So yeah. Anyway, every single time you see something like this, it's like, oh, wow, did a very, very cheap Chinese knockoff just hit as well to do the same thing at roughly, I don't know, 15% the price? Yes, it did. Because the technology was likely based on something open source, or the basic design for the logic board is already shared between multiple manufacturing facilities in China. So it's going to leak in the following weeks in such a way that, like, you're going to have access to so many other options that are almost perfectly equal in user experience and quality. So just weird. So jump out of the way here, guys. Yeah, so I look at this and I'm like, okay, cool. So we're going to get really, really good, cheap Chinese headphones in another, couple months. I'm excited about that. Thanks, Apple. So this, however, a little bit more exciting. Not going to lie. This is a little bit more exciting to see that there are any kind of developments being made in the ARM processor space is very exciting indeed. So the M1 chip is now being upgraded to the M1 Pro and to the M1 Max. So because it is a system on a chip, and that is to say it's different from our typical desktop or laptop hardware in that we don't have a motherboard to unify the CPU, the RAM controller, the RAM itself, and then all of the radios, Bluetooth, wireless, and otherwise. All of it lives on one piece of silicon, right? Or one device, right? That's the one difficult thing about ARM processors is that it's a monolithic piece. So unless we had some kind of like a zero insertion force socket to just replace the entire SoC, we wouldn't be able to get something like the Apple M1 laptops that could be upgradable. Who knows? Maybe at some point in the future, I lost like a ton of viewers right now. They're like, this is so boring. What is he talking about? It's a technology show, man. Who sent you here if you're not going to be interested in technology? Anyway, so the point is, guys, that this is a one-way upgrade, right? So when you buy one of these devices, it's locked in, right? So up to 32 gigs of memory, that's exciting, right? Unless you get the 16 gig model and you want to upgrade, because you can't ever upgrade it. You can't even like bring it to an Apple store to get an upgrade because there's no SODIMM slot to put in an additional, stick of RAM into this laptop. That's just not what they do. So just be aware of that it is a one-way upgrade, but these are some pretty awesome ARM devices, right? So the M1 Pro apparently brings the transistor count up over 33 billion. It's pretty amazing now. The memory bandwidth they say is 200 gigabytes per second, and it's on a 5 nanometer process. So it's a very, very power efficient processor, and we don't have any kind of benchmarks that would indicate what it would do on, say, a CPU algorithm like, say, Raptorium or like Monero mining, but we can kind of guess that it's going to be a contender if there are mining software, if there's any kind of mining software that's compiled for ARM, and if they're okay at those hashing algorithms. See, that's the thing. We don't know for sure that these things will actually do very well. And I'm pretty sure there's got to be somebody in the space who's been doing this style of content. But guys, I'm not going to lie. I'm actually tempted by this generation of ARM processors from Apple. And I know I don't want to be an Apple person, but if I could get this and just run a version of Linux on it that I like, I'd be okay with that too. Linux has been compiled for ARM for years. Same with all the packages. The most popular packages for Linux, they've been compiled for ARM for forever, practically. You have a Raspberry Pi? Cool. All of Linux runs on it, basically. The kernel, all the way, built all the way out to some of the applications that you really want. So yeah, it's a pretty big deal. But guys, so Sir John is jumping ahead. The press release kind of tells you all of it. The M1 Pro is a massive step forward from the basic M1. And they should show in the next slide that the M1 Max is roughly double that. Let me jump back real fast, show you that they've got a 16-core GPU. So they've got their version, like their own little on-die, on-chip GPU that is 16 cores. And they've gone with the Qualcomm Big Little architecture for the CPU itself as well. Now, if you're saying like, what do you mean big little architecture? It's kind of this like stupid marketing gimmick that Qualcomm or that ARM came up with years ago. Imagine the word big all in lowercase letters, then dot, the word little all in uppercase letters. And it was this funny marketing gimmick that basically just means that on these ARM SoCs, a certain number of cores is designed for high performance and a certain number of cores is designed for high efficiency. So they will give you big performance or they'll give you very little power consumption. And then it gives you a blend by kind of flipping between those two broad sets of cores that are on these ARM SoCs. And so generally speaking, on our phones, almost every modern phone, if it says, oh, it's an octa-core phone, octa-core GPU or CPU, what it means is 4 of those cores are really high performance and the other 4 are really high efficiency. So they'll do the typical stuff that you need done, especially if, like, for example, on the Mind Your Biz phone, if it ramps up to the 90 hertz refresh rate, screen refresh rate, that it does, again, even with our fully de-Googled software on it, if it ramps up to that 90 hertz refresh rate for the screen, it can still use the high efficiency cores for that. So they're powerful enough for that. But if you wanted to like run something on it, say like a video game that needed to make use of much higher clock speeds and much higher memory throughput and just much better performance, it would flip over to the really high power cores, the really high performance cores. Now, what Apple has done that's actually kind of unique, that's actually kind of cool, is they've gone with 10 cores. And instead of having a split between those two profiles, they've got just 2 of them that are high efficiency, because you figure if you're in a high efficiency mode where you're only needing to sip power, in all likelihood, you're not really doing anything that requires very high performance. So why would you have 4 cores for that when you could throttle all the way back to just 2? See where they're going? So 2 high efficiency cores and then 8 cores that are high performance, so that when you need high performance, you've got really high clock speeds and you've got more cores. That is kind of brilliant. And I kind of wish that ARM and that all of the all the partners, right? That Samsung and that Qualcomm, that everybody else in the world who makes ARM designed chips or ARM architecture chips, that they would have gone with this line of thinking sooner, because we've had years now with that big little architecture. So kudos Apple, right? When they get something right, I like to try to acknowledge that. But here they are with that 10 core CPU and then 16 GPU cores as well, up to 32 gigs memory. But then the M1 Max, which is just this really, really weird nomenclature. It's like, yeah, we get it, Apple. You like calling things Pro and Max, and sometimes you like calling them both Pro Max. Like, fine, get it. You got you're Pro to the Max. You've got Max for pros. Seriously, it makes my head spin. But whatever. So here they are with the M1 Max. They're really, really excited about it. They talked it way up. And the M1 Max basically takes all those numbers from before, gives you up to 64 gigs memory that can be supported, and then still a 10-core CPU and still at relatively basically the same specifications, but with up to 64 gigs RAM, and then a 32-core GPU, and then double the memory bandwidth. So as well as a far higher transistor count. So instead of 33 billion, it's like over 50 billion transistors on the M1 Max. So it is objectively a more beefy CPU, which is crazy to think about because we're talking about ARM, right? We're talking about chips like the type that we have in our phones, literally like the type that we have in our phones, but just more highly built out for the form factor of a laptop. And it makes sense when you build it out to allow for the thermal envelope of what a laptop can actually handle, because you've got a full heat sink, you can add fans inside of it, right? You've got space to really let the thing breathe, so to speak, like actually print out many more transistors across a much bigger surface than just what you have space for in here. It begs the question, why haven't we been doing this for a long, long time? Well, actually we have been, right? In Chromebooks, we've had ARM processors for a long time. The better part of almost 10 years now, we've had ARM processors in some computers and we just didn't know it, right? We didn't, many people just weren't aware of that. So getting to this point though, where we start to say like, well, these are pretty high efficiency. What if we just really focused on upping the performance and seeing where we get that sweet spot, right? Of high efficiency paired with ultra high performance. And I really love the direction that Apple is going here. And I hope that more third-party hardware companies take note and that they offer us open hardware options that are designed, not strictly speaking for Windows, but for Linux, right? I think that Linux, all things being equal, because it's already compiled for ARM, and because so many of the software packages on Linux are already compiled for ARM, I think that we'll actually get a sense of what this kind of hardware can do for the average at-home user. And then, I don't know, we'll see. Sir John is in the comment section saying, for example, decoding video is using an on-SoC ASIC. Then watching video, you get extremely long watch time, barely using processor cores at all. Yep, that's exactly right. So in the same way that like with Intel, Intel had the QuickSync video, right? It's either... Yeah, I don't know if it's just an instruction set or if it is like an FPGA or if it actually is its own dedicated ASIC just for H.264 video and H.265 video now. But if you have any reasonably modern Intel processor, then when you're streaming video, it consumes less power than if you're having to, say, like process video of some other type. And Apple is doing this with these in the same way that like our phones. When we stream video on YouTube, your phone battery doesn't die the way it did 5 years ago. Do you remember that? About 5 years ago, maybe even before then, that your battery life would pretty much be like destroyed by streaming video on your phone for too long, right? You'd be in the airport or something and I'm bored, got Wi-Fi and whatever, I'm gonna watch something. And then by the time you got off the ground, right, on your flight, your battery was toast, right? Those days are gone. Because of like what Sir John is saying in the comments here, these specialized instruction sets that are available on the system on a chip, right? It may not even be on the ARM processor itself, but the system on a chip has so many other little components added to it, right? Between Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And then yes, in some cases, dedicated hardware just for decoding certain video codecs. It's pretty crazy. But here's the thing, like some goblin losers saying, their batteries were doo-doo. I mean, yeah, kind of. In some cases, their batteries weren't good, but in other cases, it had nothing to do with the batteries. It had to do with the fact that there was not a hardware instruction set for certain activities that we did all the time. And then the software was kind of more doo-doo than anything else, right? Because if you ran a de-Googled phone, or if you ran a de-Googled AOSP ROM on your phones back in the day, you got way better battery life. So it wasn't always a question of the batteries or the phones being bad. In some cases, it was more a question of the software environment just not being well thought out enough. And that's what I'm getting at, guys. With Apple debuting these really great ARM systems on a chip, going into the M1, right? Calling it the M1. Why are we not demanding that laptop makers go with the highest end Snapdragon system on a chip and then ship it with a very lean version of Linux that is very user-friendly? Even if it's just something like Ubuntu or Linux Mint, it would get more people into hardware and using software that would actually rival this hardware and software combo that Apple is offering. And it would do so at a fraction of the cost. So I'm just throwing it out there, guys. That's something that I want to see. It's on my wish list. So if you can pull off a Christmas miracle and find me one, I would be much obliged. Very, very thankful indeed. So yeah. Let's see. Iniquitous Prime says Samsung and netbooks attempted that. So here's the thing. Netbooks are interesting, an interesting study, and Samsung as well. So yeah, Ultrabook versus netbook versus Samsung that still does actually have a SKU with a Qualcomm, I think 855 in it. I think one of the higher end Qualcomms could be an 865 or something higher than that even. So don't quote me. Obviously, I don't know their catalog like the back of my hand, but I know what you're referring to. And yeah, netbooks were chonky and annoying, right? Hey, we got Alex in the chat. Thanks for showing up, buddy. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Really appreciate that. Ray J is here as well. Says, got here late. Guess I know what I'm watching over coffee in the morning. Thanks, man. Appreciate you being here now, though. That's awesome. So, yeah. Oh my gosh. And Jim is tuning in 3 a.m. in Europe right now. Wow. We got some night owls, guys. Thanks for spending some time with us. Appreciate that. So yeah, I realized that netbooks, they were not mature enough at the time. And the idea was to take something that was very low spec, right? Like this wouldn't be a great experience in a laptop. It really wouldn't, right? So the system on a chip that's on something like a Raspberry Pi or other single board computers, it's not what I'm referring to. It's not what I'm getting at all. Sir John, again, Sir John, you got a way of reading my mind, man. I've really missed you. I really, really have, brother. Like he's kind of more tuning into what I'm saying here. He's saying maybe a new Samsung Exynos chip with new AMD Radeon graphics. Think that should go in some laptop, but RISC-V, that's the real future. And I agree with him. So yeah, kind of moving forward, moving the state of the art forward. Tessin Jaffer is also saying, haha, 4:30 a.m. in Tanzania. Oh my gosh. Guys, thank you for being here. Really, you guys are the MVPs. I really appreciate you tuning in for this, especially a rant about RISC processors, ARM processors versus x64. So yeah, or RISC-V, right? Like Sir John is saying in that direction. So yeah. Hey, Rice TV is here too, guys. Really, you're getting me in the feels. It's great to have everybody out here tonight. Thanks for that. But yeah, talking about some of this stuff coming out of Apple, it's interesting stuff. It's interesting stuff, but like, it's interesting stuff, but I really think that we need some options. Like, I want to see the Apple M1 Max running Linux, and then I want to see a competitor running Linux. I want to see something other than just Apple taking over the PC market right now because components are overpriced because we're all mining. You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that be cool if we didn't completely shred retail PC computing? Wouldn't that be a nice thing? I'd like to see that. Maybe we can, get onto the other side of all of this supply chain nonsense and still have something worth living for. So the M1 Max is double all the goodness, right? Apparently, it comes in 2 different sizes. This is for their MacBook Pro line, and they kind of caught my attention with this, guys. I'm not gonna lie. What? We got the bro Ken. Ken Bosak just dropped a $2 super chat. Says, "Have a day, bros." Thanks, man. Appreciate that. So, and Gordon says our government is shredding retail. Bro, no lies detected. You are correct. Yeah. And everybody is looking for mining hardware. Yeah, like, retail pricing. Does it exist? Not today, ladies and gentlemen. I love that they brought, I literally used to have a channel. I still do. I have a channel where I did Apple parodies, and I ripped Apple a new one when they went just to the USB Type-C connectors, right? The mini Thunderbolt connectors. Well, now, fast forward years, and they finally brought back the MagSafe design, which is like, it was such a big deal when the MagSafe design came out. If you've never used an Apple device that has the MagSafe design, imagine that, for example, you've got like a connector. You got a charging connector that hooks up to your laptop that does not even have any kind of a male or female pairing surface. It's like a flat surface that's got magnets on both sides, and then it's got 0 insertion force pins. They're just meant to touch, and then the magnetic sides just hold it in place, and then it's just got pins and a flat, or like slightly raised, like barely relieved pins, and then a mated surface there that just that holds on by the magnet. That was their MagSafe adapter, and they got rid of that. It was child-proof, it was adult-proof, it was professional-proof. Right? It was a really good design, and they threw it away for USB Type-C. And worse, they did it for like 1 port on that laptop when they first debuted it. So if you ever messed up that port, you would lose your ability to use a monitor. You'd lose your ability to use peripherals. You'd lose your ability to plug in a hard drive, and you'd lose your ability to actually charge the dang thing, all in one fell swoop. And they did that in favor of getting rid of the most foolproof charging port design that was ever debuted on a laptop. Like they totally had the advantage and they threw it away. It was crazy. So yeah, but you can barely see it right there on the edge. And yeah, sure, there's still some USB Type-C connectors. They've got a headphone jack. Imagine that. Full-size HDMI and then a full-size SD card slot. It's like, yes, we actually want these things on a laptop, Apple. We don't want to spend an additional $150 just to get these ports in like, in port replicators and dongles and in adapters and stuff. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy what they thought people wanted and what they tried to deliver over the years. And they finally kind of like, I don't know, somebody talked some sense back into them. So it's not bad. The resolution of the screens is really nice. And while it's not like an OLED display, it's pretty close. It's got more almost individually backlit zones with LEDs across the screen instead of there just being a diffusion panel that goes across the back of the screen. So it's a beautiful looking display. And as it's described, I imagine it really is everything it's cracked up to be. So yeah, looks pretty good. When it comes out, I'm not going to be shocked to see people jumping on this. And if you want to get one, man, I ain't mad at you. They just look beautiful. They really do. Now, for my part, Mac OS, that's where things start to unravel for me. I've got trust issues, Apple, like really. When it's obvious through the end user license agreement that you are definitely logging my application usage and you are sending that information home and it is definitely being tied to my Apple ID, yeah, I'm crying foul. I don't like that. I really don't like that. That's half the reason that I went back to Linux full time on my desktop, right? Or where I finally got to Linux full time on my desktop instead of just on my daily driver laptop, which Linux has been my daily driver there for a couple of years now. Again, after taking a few years off, right? Like I was that oddball in college, right? Who went to the IT department, found the cheapest laptop I could, threw Linux on it, and lived my best life because it was like, oh, it runs great. And I got it for like nothing. Anyway, yeah. Sir John is asking whether or not I've heard of Pi-hole. Yes, I have. And I want to talk about routers soon, guys. I am strongly considering offering on the site, in addition to offering the Mind Your Biz phone, I'm considering offering the Netgear, one or a couple of Netgear routers with DDWRT pre-flashed on it, so that you have like all kinds of other options. It's not Pi-hole or pfSense. Yeah, pfSense is supposed to be a better router than most routers. I get that. But you'd have to have more ports, and you'd want to have enough ports with enough throughput that it turns itself into a better, at least like basic router device. So I don't want to go too deep into that because I feel like I'm a little out of my depth to be honest, but I do know of these projects and I'm very interested in going that route. Guys, I really am this close to just doing like a tech channel with a couple of my brothers, because I'm between four of us, we've got over 50 years experience. Like well over 50 years experience, maybe bordering on 75 years experience in IT. So yeah, just kind of like, just everybody kind of like has their own little like bits and bobs, right? Where like one side of the family is like, yeah, I know I had to do networking for this job. And the other side of the family is like, I had to image PCs for a desktop distribution facility at the university. And then another side where it's like, oh yeah, obviously I set up like mid-scale mining farms for some groups and stuff. And between all of us, it's like, yeah, we would definitely pass all the basic certs, right? So as you know, right, you learn by doing. So I'm really close to doing it because it's just so much more fun, right? Just doing the tech stuff. Plus, it would give me a reason to actually get some of these servers set up for stuff that I've been talking about for forever. Anyway, guys, I'm rambling on that. But yeah, so apparently they're going to be launching this thing, and I'm not mad at you if you say you want to get it, but I am worried for you if you are just going to run Mac OS on it without a second thought. They will be logging your application usage and they will be phoning home. Apple has taken the gloves off, right? They've made it very, very clear. They've made it very clear that they intend to surveil their users. So even though you're paying top dollar for their products, they still own you anyway. So they're just telling you. But yeah, that was kind of the biggest stuff. Wow. Worst Halloween costumes, huh? We're going to skip that one, guys. That's not news that I think has affected the crypto markets. So we'll leave that one alone. Let's quickly take a look at our GPU mining profitability. What do you think of that new Apple lineup? What do you think of the M1 Pro and the M1 Max? Are you excited to see, or as excited as I am, to see how it mines Raptorium and Wownero and Monero and everything that runs on a CPU, maybe Veris coin as well, some other CPU mineable coins. Maybe we even get into some like Epic Cash. I'm pretty excited about that, actually. And then I'm also excited to see how well it performs and see if there's anything else we can find that rivals it that we can run Linux on. Alex asks in the comment section, can you dual boot on the M1 Mac devices? I think you can. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think it does run Boot Camp, and I'm not really sure exactly how that works. Yeah, so Sir John brings up a valid point. Yeah, when they finally flag someone for their child, for their pictures of their children bathing, and they get swatted, guys, it's gonna happen. The problem is that they're just not gonna make it headlines. It's not gonna make national headlines. They're gonna try to suppress that kind of stuff. So be aware. That's on the horizon, right? Like, I was freaked out as can be when I noticed that Google started automatically backing up photos years ago. It scared the crap out of me because of that. I had younger kids at the time who were just like, they would like use my phones to play, games and stuff. And sometimes they'd have my phones for, an hour at a time, and I might not know where they are. So, if you have kids, they can get rowdy and they can do naughty things with your phone. So yeah, I pity the parents that get stuck because of something that Apple is doing there. All right, let's jump out of the way here and go into our profitability on these GPUs. But let's go to the overview tab. We're not going to go through every single one of the coins and every single one of the GPUs there. Let's just start in the stacked ranking and go with Team Green. Team Green got the 3090 in the top spot. Of course, Ethereum is still the top dog, but looks like NiceHash is within spitting distance of it. Equihash 0 on YEK is on that short list. I'm as surprised as anyone, but there it is. Right? The numbers don't lie. Ethereum still takes the day, though. It's the top of the list from many of these, except for the LHR models like the 380. Looks like Tube or BitTube is back on top there. That's pretty exciting to see. Guys, I know that the BitTube project, they've intended to create a suite of products that can be used instead of just the video hosting platform, which you are may be aware. I was a big champion of a couple of years ago. I think that may not be their primary focus anymore. And I really do want to see this project succeed. I know that the founders, that their hearts are in the right place, and that a lot of the community members really do want to champion privacy and autonomy and censorship resistance. So I'm excited to see what they build, but I've kind of like, I haven't wanted to hold out hope because I haven't wanted to be heartbroken in the event that they fail. You know what I mean? But that's not fair to them, right? Like, they're putting in the work. So I'm hoping that something positive comes out of all their hard work, and that they're able to pull out of the tailspin and succeed. But in the meantime, it looks like on the low hash rate models for Team Green, it's BitTube right now. That's kind of exciting for them, right? Like, so let's see if that holds up for any of the other LHR models here. Everything else, though, that is not LHR, it's Ethereum, right, in the number one spot, and it's Ethereum by a mile, except for, wow, 3070 Ti, it's Zano. I didn't expect that. Must be some architecture changes there that makes that that unique combo of something that's available for the 3070 Ti, non-LHR. I didn't see that coming. Ethash and Ethereum, of course, on the 3060. And then anything else that is a non-LHR, 2080. Looks like, yeah, Equilibria is kind of rearing its head as well. You guys know that I have some concerns about that. But again, I mentioned just a minute ago that BitTube as well, it's profitable right now, but there are always going to be some people that take issue with its current product roadmap and whether or not it's delivering what it intends to deliver by way of like a sort of product marketplace, by way of video products or video services and all the other projects that they have had on their roadmap for a long time. So, oh, Brad, he corrects me. Thank you so much, Brad. He says all 3070 Ti's are LHR. Hey, I appreciate that. So here's the thing, guys. I don't pretend to know like every single SKU and every single model and what every single thing does. Like real talk, Google is your friend, right? Like, but there are some things that are sort of like institutional wisdom that we share with each other that maybe Google doesn't know. So thank you for letting me know. I appreciate you helping me get smarter. But yeah, that answers that question too. But moving down the list, guys, it's ETH, except for, yep, those LHR models, Zano and no, I guess the 10,000 or the 1000 series cards as well are not all Ethereum. Hey, 1050 Ti, little card that could. Also doing pretty well on Zano there. Guys, the nice thing about the 1050 Ti, and you've heard me say it before, the 1050 Ti is a card that you can run entirely off of bus power. See right there, it says 80 watts, but if you tune it correctly, you won't ever overdraw the PCI Express power that's pulled from the slot. So it's, yeah, one of those cards that runs entirely from the motherboard. It doesn't need any supplemental power run to it. And some models don't even have a supplemental power plug. So kind of a neat little card. Very, very easy to work with and nice for scale, or they were nice for scale. I don't know if anything else kind of compares to that right now. There's nothing that's quite that efficient and low power in the market, but pretty cool. Sir John offers his experience that the 1050 Ti, when tuned, can be as low as 45 watts. It's awesome, man. Yeah. But let's go to Team Red. Move Team Green out of the way. Radeon 7, top of the list. I'm so sad that I missed out the opportunity to buy one of these on eBay the other day. Somebody outbid me, but I'm not willing to pay current prices. So I'm not really that sad, I guess. But Radeon 7, top of the list. And you can tell I got a soft spot in my heart for Team Red here. But doing great on Ethereum. Radeon 6800 is in second place. 6900 XT is in third. And it's Ethereum all down the line until we get... all down the line until we get to the Radeon R9 Fury, which is Raven, of course, because it doesn't quite have enough memory or enough VRAM to be able to address the DAG file of Ethereum. So from there, Elaism, Raven, Elaism again for these older cards, either the 4 gig Polaris card, any of the 4 gig Polaris cards, as well as the R9 380. Guys, shout out to Bitsby Trippin, who did a video the other day talking about the older architecture AMD cards, and his central question was kind of clickbaity, but it's important, right? You have to have that element on YouTube. It's part of the game. But his clickbaity central question was, do people still mine on ancient cards, on old cards? And, well, obviously they do. There's a reason that What to Mine still shows these numbers here. And there are, I promise you, people in various spots throughout the world who have a lower cost basis for power who are very happy to see that these calculators are still running. But anyway, that's Team Red, guys. I'm going to leave it at that. And let's jump into our portfolios in just a second. Let me catch up on our comment section, guys. Sir John's saying RX 580 is an ancient T card. Yeah, it kind of is ancient. And as far as technology goes, it's unreal that it's still mining. But then anything older than that still mining? Whew, that's like, it's old as dirt. It's dust. It's practically already dust. So Golden Wolf already had the duck out. Glad you're here. Aussie Bogentech, good to see you in the chat. Looking for any additional comments. Alex Burton chimed in to say that Hackintosh, that beast. Yeah, Hackintoshes apparently were fun for their time. I never got into it because I didn't want to have to put in that much work. I mean, Linux is enough work for me to get a Linux distribution that you really like and to configure it in a way that really suits you. That for me is the amount of work that I'm willing to do. I'm not willing to put in the kind of work just to get the base operating system running at all for a Hackintosh. I don't know. Pick your battles, right? I feel like if I want all the driver support, if I want to do everything else, I will go with an unlicensed version of Windows or something. But even that doesn't feel quite right for me. Doesn't feel true to what I value. Going back through our comment section, T-Bone Gaming sent over $2 Canadian. Thank you for that. He sent over a sticker that says, cool. Appreciate that. And Rice TV also grabbed a couple of rice bowls there as well. Got a couple of them. See that, guys? Rice, baby. It's cool. I like that. But going back through our comment section, guys, if you have questions, go ahead and ask them. If you have answers, go ahead and answer, right? We're a community, so you can help somebody else out, be the mentor that you wish you had. Mike is asking, would you guys rather get a 3080 FHR, or I think he meant LHR. I think it was just a typo there. Or a 3080 Ti for the same price. And Alex Burton says Ti non-LHR all the way. LOL. Hey, no lies, man. I think that probably correlates to what most of us think there. Brad Johns also clarifies FHR probably means full hash rate. Okay, cool. Let's see, and mentions that 3080 Ti's are LHR too. Well, yeah, that's difficult. That's difficult to say. I'm not convinced that I definitely would want to get a non-LHR card right now. I know, blasphemy, right? Heresy. I'm not convinced that I'd necessarily want that. Right now, I'm okay, depending on the application. I might be okay getting an LHR model and then only using it for coins that are not Ethereum. I might be okay with that. Or using the LHR hack, right, where I mine Ethereum up until the point that it's throttled, and then I run a dual mining algorithm inside of HiveOS, so I get an additional percentage of the overhead of that card's ability in a different mining algorithm to get kind of like near full performance. I think I'd be okay with that right now. That's a compromise that I think I would be willing to make. That's just me. But yeah, it depends. Though I do think the resale value on the non-LHR models will probably be higher. I think we'll see in the future, because there was no, in the same way that like cars that are sold without a governor on them, they tend to be valued better, right? So, or when they don't have weird restrictions placed on them, people tend to like them more. So the resale value goes higher. So that'd be my rationale. Anyway, it's not merge mining, Alex. It is actually two different mining algorithms going at the same time. But here we are on CoinGecko looking at our portfolio, starting with GPU mining. It is Equilibria in the #1 spot. And it looks like Flux has taken a backseat. Equilibria has really surged forward. Yikes. Guys, I didn't expect that at all. Equilibria kind of came out of nowhere, and I'm not really sure what to make of this. So I don't want to say anything like disparaging or make it sound like there's some kind of like interference or manipulation. Don't know if that's true, but yeah, but that's crazy. It's so far ahead. Flux is in the #2 spot. Looks like our break-even point is way down here at Polygon. That's cool. So Polygon is kind of back in range of what we expect. Guys, I don't know how many times I can say this, but Polygon for me basically is my experience of Ethereum these days, because I'm mining on Ethermine and receiving my payouts in wrapped Ethereum on Polygon. So for me, it matters what happens to the Polygon network in a very personal way, because this affects the gas fees that I pay. So it's good to see it healthy, but in my mind, it's also good to not see it run away or not see the price run all the way up to like hundreds or thousands of dollars. I think it's probably fine for it to stay in range of a utility token, right? Not something that is valued as some kind of a governance token where you might want the price to go up. But that's where it breaks even. Below that, Conflux, Firo, and everything else is below the waterline. Mimblewimble coin is still dead last. Swap is second to last. BitTube is rising in the ranks. It was second to last before. And as I said earlier in this program, guys, I really do wish them well. I hope the BitTube team is able to pull off the dub for this bull market and prepare themselves for the bear market when it comes. So we'll see what happens there. The current market cap is quite low, but they've got high ambitions. So we'll see what happens there. Looks like Brad Johns is saying that 2Miners is offering payouts on Nano and Bitcoin. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, I didn't know that. You ask what I think about it. I mean, I haven't formed an opinion on it yet because I wasn't aware of that. So thanks for bringing it to my attention. But I'll have to pull that up at some point. Maybe we can pull it up live on the show. Maybe that would be all right. Guys, 24-hour change is down 2.25%. and total P&L for this side of the portfolio is up almost 28%. It's performing very well, guys. I think we're seeing here that in the long run, that GPU mining pays off. I think that was the intent of setting up these different portfolios in the first place. I was hoping, in my heart of hearts, I was hoping that GPU mining would show how profitable it really can be. Here's our hard drive mining portfolio, though, guys. Total P&L is down almost 9%, and last 24 hours, we're down over 1%. MaidSafe coin is in the black, so is storage. Everything else is in the red, but Sia coin is close to that parity mark. We're almost back to the break even, and Chia is still down 80%. This is about as low as we've seen it in quite some time, almost at $150. So yikes. I'm sorry, guys. If you're passively just farming on Chia right now, you've already got your plots done and you're just holding, right? You're just running with your hard drives already plotted, then you might be in a really good position right now, right? For your solo mining. If you randomly get a couple of blocks, right? If you're on track to get a couple of blocks once a month or once every 2 months, you're going to be ahead of your cost of electricity. But the question is for how long, right? Like right now, as it is, used hard drives have already hit the market by the literal ton. And same with SSDs, same with NVMEs. As predicted, it just grew too fast and retail participation couldn't keep up, right? The biggest players are getting the biggest rewards. So I feel sorry for you if you are, if you feel like you got wrecked. If you're already plotted though, and you think you're on track to maybe get some block rewards, this is me changing my tune, guys. Try to break even, right? You might be able to do so while we're still on the upswing. Try to break even, try to get your, try to make sure you don't lock in your losses by selling too soon. Not financial advice, but like evaluate your situation and don't do anything rash is all I'm saying. If you're already in for this point, right? You're in for a penny, may as well be in for a pound, right? So just saying, it's not all bleak there, but the price is very low, right? Let's see. Spencer is, hey, Spence, first off, good to see you, Spenny. Always great when the kitty from America's Hat comes to hang out. I miss you guys. But he's asking about what's the deal on Signum. I don't know what the deal on Signum is for it returning back into profit last 7 days by 15%. But as it is, they did have some kind of project leadership change before they even got to making the name change from Burst to Signum. There was a product leadership change, and I think there was another project leadership change, which is why it's at Signum now. There's been a lot going on with Signum, and I can't track it, man. Like, it's the most I can do, really, or as much as I can do, just to keep these portfolios going and show like and kind in the same portfolio, right? So hard drive mining coins in the same spot. But yeah, right now, like Signum, man, I don't even know. What I do know about Signum and Burst is that those who are into it are like way into it. It's got on the desktop wallet, I think it's got an encrypted messenger that's built in. It's got some other kind of like value-added community-oriented functions. And so people who are into Signum, it's a niche, but it's kind of a cool niche, right? It's like people who use certain other private messaging tools and stuff, right? Like you find some interesting characters there. But yeah, that's all I know about them. So moving from hard drive mining portfolio over to CPUs. Let's see what's going on in CPU land, guys. 24-hour change is up almost 5%, and we are up total P&L by over 124. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Spencer. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. He says, oh, it's Burst. Yeah, it's Burst. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, by all means, man, do a deep dive and come back to tell me how ignorant I am, because I do not have time for every single project that's on the portfolios, unfortunately. But Raptorium is top of the list, guys. It's still just like breaking ankles. It's still chewing gum, kicking ass. So pardon the expression, guys. I will not talk about chewing gum anymore. It's still kicking ass, and Epic Cash is in number 2 spot there, almost 300% up. Which I mean, good for them. Good to see them pulling the dub there as well this season. That said, guys, Epic Cash, tell me what you think in the comments section. This is one that's kind of controversial because the Bitcoin maxis get really angry about the sort of the design scope of Epic Cash having this convergence event where they'll match the tail emissions of Bitcoin in their emission schedule. So right now, they've got an accelerated emission schedule to dovetail, and then match 1-to-1 I guess both the block time and the emission schedule of Bitcoin. So it makes some maxis very upset. And then the fact that it's a Mimblewimble coin, they scoff at because it's like, well, Mimblewimble is a failed, project. It's not integrated into any meaningful blockchain that we recognize, right? Not even Litecoin has actually adopted it yet. So it can cause feelings, is what I'm saying. What are your feelings about Epic Cash? Tell me in the chat, guys. But it's number 2 right now and doing really well. Monero is barely treading water. It's 1,007. Yeah. All right. Monero. And Wownero, Veriscoin, Yenton, QRL, all kind of not performing as well as we'd hope. Moving from CPUs over to our ASIC portfolio. 24-hour change, we're down almost 4%, which is a bummer, but our total P&L is still up by almost 3%, so we're probably fine, and our top performers are doing pretty well. Bitcoin, of course, the king daddy, is, has awoken from his nap, and you know what? The kids were naughty while Bitcoin was napping. So Bitcoin has gotten up and felt very, very grumpy and has reminded everyone who's the boss, right? So pretty cool to see that. There are some calls based on the stock to flow and the stock to FOMO model for Bitcoin to go parabolic at some point between now into November. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that, guys. As you are aware, I don't pretend to be a technician in this space. I don't pretend to know like Elliott wave theory or be some deep expert in any other technical analysis tools or indicators. Right now I'm trying to learn, right? I'm trying to get my sea legs here. But it's something that I'm doing as a very part-time thing as I also focus on other things, right? So just to say, when I hear people saying like, nope, Bitcoin definitely 100K by the end of this month, or that month or this time, I'm like, oh, I don't have that kind of conviction. Like, I imagine it to be true. I do. I imagine Bitcoin to have that kind of staying power and the ability to go the distance. But in that time frame, because now you're talking about like not just going the distance, but you're talking about going the distance at like a 3.7 minute mile, right? For the rest of the race. So you got to be realistic about what is achievable by certain asset classes and by certain people holding those assets. So anyway, yeah. JMS Vlogs, bruh, guys, we got the homie. Guys, say hello to Jeremy. Good to see you, Jeremy. So JMS Vlogs says double top or new all-time high. Well, ¿por qué no los dos? Right? We could definitely see both, my friend. It could be one then resulting in the other, I think. And I suspect that we are going to see something along those lines if retail continues to race into this. If retail continues to race into this bull market, I think we will see a blow off top, and it could be, it could result in specifically a double top formation. And I think we're going to see an all-time high on the way for sure. So yeah, guys, if you haven't said hello to JMS Vlogs, do so. JMS Vlogs is an OG in the space, and it sounds weird to say it, right? It sounds weird to hear it, but he's got legacy media in the GPU and ASIC mining space, and is just an all-around cool dude. You got to see his vlogs. They're really awesome. They're really pretty cool. Jim Van in the comment section says, nowhere near ROI. I should have sold my 2 Chia coin back in June at 600 USD per coin, but I didn't. Crying emoji. I'm so sorry, brother. I'm going to put that on the chat to immortalize the crying emoji so we can all have them feels with you. Sorry about that, man. I'm sorry. But I do want to see you win, man. That's what I want to see. So hopefully there's a way, right? Hopefully we can pull out the dub for you before the end, right? And it's going to be okay, right? It really is. It's going to be okay before everything is over. If it's not okay, it's not over yet. So, all right. Gordon coming in to throw salt on those wounds for you too. He says, I sold at 900 and I'm glad I did. That's awesome, man. I am glad for you. Like that's good stuff. So in our ASIC mining portfolio, guys, it looks like the only 2 coins that are above water are Go Mining Token and Bitcoin. Please remember that this is being added to the portfolio for convenience sake because I did the review on Go Mining Token and somebody asked me to track its performance compared to the other stuff, right? So Bitcoin is performing well. Go Mining Token is performing actually better. But like you get involved with tokens like this for companies that are actually mining at your own peril, right? They could have something that changes at the corporate level. They could have a tokenomic problem with the token itself. They can have an issue with the token itself, rather. They could have all kinds of other stuff. So that happens, that goes wrong, that is not directly related to proof of work. So this is being shown here for convenience sake, but don't misunderstand. Like, I'm showing the rest here as ASIC mineable coins because I think there are going to be people in the audience who have ASICs that can mine them. So there's a difference there. But those are our top performing coins. Lowest performing coin right now is Devault. Oh, sad face. Sorry, Proteus. Sorry, Decentralized. Guys, hope you can pull things back up from this direction. And they're getting dangerously close to that $250,000 market cap mark. Pirate Chain is coming back up, but this week has been a rough one for them. They're still at almost $500 million of market cap. That's exciting for me to see. And I know that in the past I've said like, it's Pirate Chain. I would need to see it accepted at more places. I would need to see a mobile wallet that allows for Z to Z transfers more easily. All kinds of other stuff that I would really need to see. And that's still true. But seeing that there's so much market cap locked up in Pirate Chain, it'd be really cool to see it used at retail, right? Or in e-commerce. If that were something that it did, or like on the dark web or whatever else, like if we could get usage statistics that showed that Pirate Chain was actually being used by people, I would love that. I'm not sure if that's possible, right? Like, I'm not sure how the Block Explorer works. I'm not sure whether or not it can track total transactional volume, or total volume transferred, or total volume locked on the chain. So that's something to be aware of. But it's a cool project. Really is, guys. Dogecoin is sitting just near the 25-cent mark, but not quite. Bytecoin is down in the bottom three where it belongs. Probably belongs farther down. Yep, I said it. FPGA mining portfolio. Also, guys, we got a comment or question in the comment section from Jim Van asking, Alex, do you pool mine or solo mine? Ooh, had a gnarly neck pop there. Guys, FPGA mining portfolio is up by almost 12% in the last 24 hours, and total P&L is up 33.5% more. Cadena, that's the one that's doing all the heavy lifting. Everybody else is below the waterline. Nimic is high. Sorry, it's high in the stacked rankings. There's nothing else about this inanimate object that is high. Don't make it weird, guys. Down at the bottom of the list is 0x Bitcoin, still doing that weird, like, that weird swing that it likes to do. And for some reason, it likes to do that weird swing over the weekends, it seems. On our Monday show last week, we saw the same pattern emerging over the weekend. So I wonder if maybe somebody has forgotten to turn their bots off, or turns them off over the weekends, or I don't know what the deal is. But yeah, that's crazy looking. That's our FPGA mining portfolio in a nutshell, guys. Proof of stake mining contract or smart contract portfolio is down over the last day by almost 1% or 0.5%, but our total P&L is still quite good, right? We're almost 90% up. Phantom is in the lead now. Terra is number 2. Solana, number 3. But still just punching faces, like seriously, knuckle duster to the friggin' teeth. Over $150 per Solana. That's amazing. Avalanche is also doing really well at over $50, right? $55 per coin. And then Cosmos at 32. Cosmos is one that I'm very much paying attention to right now, personally, for various reasons. But you'll perhaps learn about those in the coming weeks. The more I look at it, the more I'm kind of in awe of what Cosmos is doing. Plus the Tendermint consensus protocol is pretty amazing too. So I expect to see more from the Cosmos ecosystem kind of grab more of our attention in the near future. Wax is also on this list. It's above break even as well. The break even point is just below Kusama. Again, it's still Chainlink, but Chainlink is down kind of bad, down worse than before. And our biggest loser is still Internet Computer, which is not a shock, right? Not a shock. I don't foresee that improving very much recently, anytime soon. Sir John is saying, did they finally release their interchain? Any good on Cosmos? I don't know if they've released their interchain yet, but I know they're getting very, very close. And I know there are plenty of derivative projects or projects that live on top of Cosmos that are banking on it. So yeah, they're waiting with bated breath to see that ship so that additional products can be built on top. We'll see when that happens. And Spencer Daymore is doing $12 a day on Nimic with the BCU 1525. That's awesome, man. That's great, especially now with the current pricing on BCU 1525. When it launched, not so great. But today, a BCU 1525, man, I almost want to look it up. Let's just see if we can happen to find one, perchance, on eBay. All right, eBay, what do you got? Let's see, eBay. BCU 1525, no suggestions, you pig. Good grief, eBay. Why would you make me talk to you this way? All right, so looks, what? Literally only one listing. Okay, whatever. So for the one listing, it looks like they're asking for a little over $1,400 as a buy it now price, but it's listed at $1,000. All right, well, there you go. So for about $1,500, you can be doing $12 a day, which is not bad, all things considered, to have a break even of around 100 days, a little over 100 days, versus like every other GPU that's like 300 to 500 days to break even. Yeah, I mean, you're really not doing bad, Spencer. You're not doing bad at all. That's great. So going back to our smart contract portfolio, guys, let's take a look at this. Phantom is yep, high on the list. We already saw all the rest of these. I'm confused as to why Wax is kind of stationary there and why these top three keep on playing sort of like a shell game, right? It's like, oh, is it Terra? Is it Phantom? Is it Solana? I kind of get the sense that all three of these are kind of, all three of these are kind of like the project du jour, right? Like there are investors who are excited about them. And I wonder if maybe they're just not willing to put any more money into them, or maybe it's a question of total value locked on these projects or on these platforms that has prevented any additional growth. That's part of the reason I'm excited about Cosmos, is the total value that is growing on Cosmos. But I mean, we may see that story happen on all these other smart contract platforms as well, with total value locked and with bridging from Ethereum. So, or who knows, maybe even smart contract layers on top of Bitcoin properly bridging to all these, if that ever happens, guys. Stacks, RSK, like people talking about Rootstock definitely working on top of Bitcoin. It hasn't yet, but if it ever does, it'll be cool to see projects like this interface with it in a meaningful way. So moving from our smart contract platforms to our automated liquidity. What do you got for us? 24-hour change, we're up almost 15%. Total P&L, we are up by 55+%. It's looking pretty good. But again, Raptorium takes the day. Hexicans who are in the audience, this is not me taking a jab at you. You saw the numbers. It's a fair fight, right? So Raptorium, based on the time frame that we created this portfolio, Raptorium has outperformed Liquid Hex, or so-called Liquid Hex. Shiba Inu is in a number 2 spot over on this side of the portfolio. Guys, the automated liquidity portfolio is also kind of just a catch-all. We've got some projects here that maybe aren't strictly speaking automated liquidity coins, but they are just, you know, interesting, right? They may be, what's the word I'm looking for here? Yeah. Gosh, what's the term I'm looking for? Yeah, automated liquidity, we'll say. Oh my gosh, JMS Vlogs. He comes back to ask me about Hex. Man, we gotta have a long chat sometime, you and I, about Hex and Pulse Chain. It's a complicated thing, actually, I think. And it's complicated for a couple of reasons, but I'll say that, like, from my part, I have some exposure to Hex. There you go, guys. Out in the open. I have some exposure to Hex. Is it my entire portfolio? No, it's not. Not by a long shot. But I have some exposure to it. And am I staking it? No, I'm not. Nah, not right now. But I am very curious to see how Pulse Chain does when it launches, because I want to see how all the smart contract platforms do when they launch. I want to see which ones have the most value locked, because I think that getting total value locked is that's kind of the first phase gate for any of these, the smart contract platforms, to get broader interest in what they're doing, right? Like if you're a smart contract platform that's like, well, we got more transactions per second than anybody, but no tokens run on your platform, then who cares? Right? Like, who would care if you didn't have any if you didn't have any projects running on your smart contract platform at all? It'd be like Ethereum launching with no ERC20 tokens, right? Or with no NFTs. We'd all say like, oh, that's a very cool science project you have there, Charles Hoskinson and Vitalik Buterin. Like, nice going, guys. That's a cool looking blockchain on paper, but what does it actually do? We don't see anything running on it. And we're kind of having that problem with some of these other smart contract platforms in figuring out, okay, who is going to, like, which of the projects of like the caliber of Chainlink or of USDC or of Aave and other similar projects that are household names in the DeFi space, how many of them are saying like, you know what, we feel really good about putting, $5 billion worth of value on your chain for now, and maybe we'll grow and make that more. And if you perform well enough, and if our users like you, maybe we'll put the majority of our coins on your network, and we'll grow the total value locked on your network by that much more. Of course, the question of bridging kind of makes that more complicated. I know if you can bridge an asset between like Ethereum and Solana, what's really on Ethereum, what's really on Solana, like Wormhole doesn't work like that. I know if you're a Solana person, but like you see where I'm going. If you can bridge assets from one to the other without creating a parallel asset or without having to divest some of your holdings on one chain to put it onto another chain, then like the economic question of how much of the value you've created, how much goes where, that can make it more difficult for a project leader. I know, but there is that real element of, I won't say scarcity, but of, permanence, right? Like, and fungibility. If one coin of yours equals one coin, then when you take it away, there are 0 coins there. So you got to figure out where they go, right? Like, it's not a question of like making them scarce. It's a question of figuring out where they're going to go, which network they're going to live on. So I'm excited to see what happens with Pulse Chain. And I really do think that because the hexagons, for as crazy as they might sound to some people, and for as crazy as the project Hex might sound to some people, this is not me endorsing it. It's not me telling you what to buy or even what to look at, because it sounds crazy to some people. They'll just say like, well, I can't get behind Hex, and so that means by default I can't get behind Pulse. I think that'd be a mistake, because all those people on Hex who might seem crazy, right? Who might seem like, oh, it's a scam or a Ponzi, or like it's really, really bad. Like, regardless of what you think about them or the project, regardless, take all that off the table. Since Pulse Chain is going to launch with that as like the anchor tenant, right? The cornerstone project, the anchor tenant. When every single bit of value from Hex goes over to Pulse Chain, that's tens of billions of dollars in total value locked. There are a lot of those like top 10 projects, top 10 smart contract networks that don't have that much from, between like USDC and Aave and all the other projects. So one project alone, just choosing like, okay, yeah, we're going to try out Pulse. So I think that alone makes it worth taking a look at that smart contract platform and potentially even building on it. Right. And I don't think it shouldn't sound controversial, right? I think I've said it before. Like, if there are users on a network, then why wouldn't you build on it? And if the development environment is low friction and low fee, why wouldn't you try to use it? Anyway, just that's my thought on that matter. Alex Burton is saying Hex has a use case where Doge and Shiba don't. Am I right? That's worth something alone, even for the fanboys. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably true. So it looks like the break-even point here on this side of the portfolio, guys, is just below PancakeSwap. Uniswap, Sushi, XSushi, Thorchain, Dragon's QuickSwap, they're all down lower. Persistence was added to this portfolio, and I have not actually created an entry for it yet. You guys want to see me do this live? Because I can do it. I can do it live. All right. I think this is going to be a sob story here, guys. I think we're going to go back in time as far as we can. Go to our max because it's a recent launch. There we go. Yep. So we'll be seeing launch pricing way back. Yeah, we can't go as far back as May. So we can go to March 31st. And looks like, no, $3.85. So that's as far back as we can go. So our acquisition price is $3.85. I thought it might be a sob story. Looks like it's probably not. And we'll make sure we got the right date there. So we'll say March 31st at 6 p.m. Oh, what am I talking about? Haha, May. I promise I can actually like understand the calendar. Jeez. Good grief. I did warn you guys a little tired, right? There we go. May 26th. Alrighty. We'll call it 12:08 then. Oop. Yeah, it is gonna be it is gonna be a sob story, guys. I think it is. Oof. 12:08. Sixth. We'll call that the good enough time. And let's open a calculator. Use KCalc. There's proof that I'm using KDE, I guess. And oh, 8278. All right. Yeah. Yeah. No. Why? That's fine. Whatever. I don't care. Which actually means I do. Fine. Okay, it's in the list, and it is up a little bit higher, somewhere between Thorchain and the sushi tokens. But persistence is there now in the automated liquidity category. So we will be tracking that over time. Just curious, doesn't quite fit in other places, but it's on the list now. All right. So, guys, I'm going to have to log in. I'm going to have to log into TradingView. Apparently, I did an adjustment to Ungoogled Chromium where it is amnesiac. It's in amnesiac mode again, so it forgets to log me in because I don't have cookies enabled. Probably not a bad thing overall. I think, yeah, most people would agree. You don't necessarily want to have your browser remembering everything about you all the time. But there are certain things that are a little bit more convenient to let your browser remember. So we will see. All right, I got that back up and running. Let me go. Oh, thank you. Yes, dark theme. Very, very needed. All right, back to dark theme. And we got our chopsticks menu up and running. And you know what? That channel has kind of held okay. And again, we're not doing anything super fancy here, guys. I have not even really applied myself to properly understanding MACD or RSI yet. And I'm just going to openly admit it. I'm a baby when it comes to this, an absolute drooling child, right? Really, I'm practically shoving crayons up my nose when it comes to this sort of thing. But here we are in an upward channel and looking good. Yeah, we're looking pretty darn bullish. Looks like, yeah, our looks like our indicator below has flipped bullish on that note. Alex Burton, chopsticks up your nose. That's the thing, man. Chopsticks? You can't shove chopsticks all the way up your nose, man. You're gonna poke your brain. You can shove a crayon up your nose a part of the way. You won't die. I mean, it's probably not lethal. It's non-toxic, so you're gonna be okay. But yeah, chopsticks up your nose, I wouldn't recommend it. JMS Vlog says the COVID test works. Yeah, man, a self-administered PCR exam. One for both nostrils. So our chopsticks are still on a channel, guys. I'm not seeing anything resembling an ascending triangle just yet. We might get there, but if this trend is able to continue, then, and we stay bullish, as per our indicator there, looks like volume is okay, but it is decreasing. So maybe we won't, but yeah, we need a new channel, don't we? So we had a channel for our 30 to 40K. We had a channel for our 40 to 50K. and we have a channel for 50 to 60K, we are back in this territory. And if we continue, we don't have to go parabolic to continue to sort of like sawtooth up into an all-time high or into a new ATH. But we do need to have some sense for where we are here. I would say we go from green, yellow, red. Let's go, if we can. The heck? Where are my drawing tools? That's weird. Oh, view only mode. Strange. Why? It was really weird. I was going to say I'm logged into my account. Why does it not seem to understand this is my account? Okay, there we go. A little better. Alex, RSI and Bollinger Bands. Just click with me. Wait, unless I'm wrong. Crap, scratch that. LOL. Yeah, guys, that's just it, right? That's why I like to disclaim the crap out of what I'm doing right here. I will just tell you straight up. This is kind of like trying to pick up a rattlesnake. You do so at your own at your own peril, right? This is dangerous. This is very, very dangerous indeed. Okay, what do we got here? Nope. Rectangle. All right, we're going to call that. Oh my gosh, let go. So you're supposed to let go, you meanie. All right, we're going to call that 70. It's not, but we're going to call it 70. Okay, so we have a new channel. Oh my gosh, why is my nose so itchy now? We talked about shoving crayons up noses, and now my nose itches to no end. I know, it's all in my head. Literally. Alex says, not advice, but the best advice today, smash like. Okay, we're going to start going. Boom. Yeah, we're going to go, what's more red than red? Violet. Ultraviolet. Okay, there we are. So we're going to start crawling back the other direction on the rainbow. We might even move towards white as we approach 6 figures. Tessin Jaffer says, look into RSI divergence on daily timeframes. And Chris says, childhood flashback? Maybe. It could be a childhood. Maybe. I do have a deviated septum. So maybe I did maybe there's like damage to myself when I was really, really young and I don't remember it. Maybe somebody else did and I blocked it out, right? Like, yeah, I'll go into like my therapist and they'll like deprogram me and I'll be the Winter Soldier, right? In disguise. I'm like, oh, actually, I've got a fake arm. And it'll all have, the genesis for all of this will have been the crayons and the nose. There you go, guys. Worth the price of admission. Aren't you glad that you have spent the evening here? All right. That is our new channel, though, and I would love for us to see a breakout there, but if we can perform here, if we can maintain, like, I'm just going to say it for my part, if we can just maintain some level of support, like even if we do see a bit of a leveling off or a reversal here, if we can see some level of support here after we see a reversal from our indicator down below, because we do swing, right? But after we see a reversal in our indicator, if we can see that we still have support above 60K, it'll be cool just to see this protracted here. People who are saying that we're definitely going to see 100K by, the end of November. I don't know what to say to that. I really don't. JMS is saying he's got a long-term channel ranging between 40K and 100K. I think you're probably right, man. I think that like historically, the stock to flow model has indicated that there should be an order of magnitude leap between halving events. It's not necessarily a question of like, okay, well, we're going to go from 1,000 to exactly 10,000 and from 10,000 to exactly 100,000. Well, no, last all-time high, we saw almost 20,000, right? We just came really, really close, right? Was it 1904, 1906? We didn't quite hit 20,000, right, in 2017. And I apologize. I should probably know exactly the all-time high as as it was recorded. But the point is, we didn't actually hit 20,000, but we didn't stop at 10, right? So we broke through that order of magnitude. We added a zero, right, to the previous all-time high, and that had held from the previous halving event. So I'm wondering, like, yeah, am I holding out hope for no reason? Because I think that Jeremy's right, actually. I do. I think we probably are going to see something along those lines where we print a new all-time high somewhere in six figures. Does it have to be 100,000? No. But it doesn't have to be 400,000 either, right? Like, people who are saying that, I'm like, oh, curb your enthusiasm. That's just irrational. I don't know how you got to that number. I don't think you can show me numbers that will make sense to me, that'll make me believe 400,000 is the new all-time high that we're looking at. But somewhere in the six figures, I think is probably realistic. The question is, yeah, again, when, how much, how fast? How fast can we get, how can we suck liquidity out of other markets and pull it into Bitcoin, right? And then further, after it's pulled into Bitcoin, right? Go back over here, seeing our current Bitcoin dominance at 45%. Once it swells up to maybe even its previous all-time highs, I mean, it hasn't been back at 60% in a while, though, right? Like, if it can get back to a new high, though, a new local high, new local top of dominance of 50 to 60%, then when there's $100,000 Bitcoin, what does that do to the overall market cap, right? Right now we're at $2.5 trillion, which is awesome. But what does the overall market cap do when we've pulled in all this liquidity from other markets, right? From real estate and equities and commodities and stuff. And then we have alt season. Does the total market cap stay the same? Is it just a shell game, right? Is it like, oh, cool. Well, now that I got my value in like and kind assets, am I just trading here within cryptocurrencies to try to prevent a taxable event? Right? Like, guys, I'm not a pro at this, but I am thinking about this for myself. And I'm thinking, well, if I'm thinking about this, there are people who are far smarter than I am and who've been doing this longer than I have with a lot more money than I have, who are really good, right? They've got to be really, really good, So like, if my knuckle dragon butt can think of this, like, what are they already doing in terms of like programming their calls and their puts or whatever, right? Like, programming their orders now from this point, trying to figure out like, okay, when we inevitably do hit this threshold of performance, like, this is my plan. So that's why, you hear from me. I'm always a little bit cautious when we start to see the price move up, right? It's like, okay, like, watch what the other hand is doing, because this market is gonna it's gonna sucker punch us, right? Like, I'm gonna get cold cocked by this market if I don't pay attention. So I'm a little bit anxious about that, guys. But at any rate, this, that dominance versus that chart. Now we've got a new range to look at. Love that, guys. JMS Vlogs. If you're not following him, really, you got to go follow him. I love his channel. I love his stuff. Jeremy, it's great to see you in the chat tonight, man. Thank you for being here. But his channel, he's talking about 40K to 100K. I feel like it's a very generous channel. I think you're totally right. I think we're totally going to be able to see performance in that range. But I think, like, more tactically right now, we left 40K behind a little while ago, and I'm not expecting for us to revisit it. I'm not. Maybe for the next little while, maybe for the rest of this market. I don't know. But again, guys, I'm just a miner who draws chopsticks on a chart. Let's get our other stuff out of the way tonight, guys. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. I see Pocket Change just stopped in and said, Pocket Change, wife of miner, says, no, not many smarter than you. You are way too kind, Pocket Change. I really do mean that. Alex, thanks for being here. Gallo, Tenson, all the crew, guys, really appreciate you being here. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Nice sticker from Pocket Change there. Says, you are amazing. $20 super sticker. Big hearts. Big hearts to the Chump Change, Pocket Change family. And to the, oh gosh, what do you guys call the kids? Spare Change, right? Spare Change 1 and 2. Is that what it is? You have nickel and dime? I apologize. What do you call them? Guys, give our visiting dignitaries, right? JMS Vlogs and Pocket Change, give everybody a follow if you're not already following them, right? Really do. It means a lot. Every little bit counts for the viewership and everything else. And we are a community, right? We rallied together to help out Savage Mind not long ago. We can rally together now while it's still building time before we get close to that bear market. When it comes a while from now, but let's build each other up now while we can easily bring in new people and get them, right? Get them, the uninitiated, initiated with us and help teach them good habits early on. So let's do that together now and help build each other up. Thanks for watching to the end, guys. Thanks for hitting that thumbs up, being subscribed, sharing the video, all those clickety clicks on the bottom, all the buttons, they all help. All of it helps. So thanks for doing all that stuff, guys. Appreciate you again, making that subscribe button explode and clicking the bell icon. You're the reason I make this media, guys. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Be sure to check out mineyourbiz, where you can sign up for our email newsletter, where we're still ramping up content, but you will occasionally receive specials for flash sales and all kinds of other deals that we have going on the site. You can also check out our services page, where we offer consulting to projects that need it. You can pick up the Freedom Phone, which respects your privacy. You can pay for it in crypto and have it shipped to you anonymously, as well as getting merchandise that also is paid for with crypto. That's right, we practice what we preach, including, a Flux swag page. That's right. It's a dedicated page just for the team over at Flux Network, because we love them that much. Thanks for watching to the end. Thanks for being subscribed. I love your face. Be sure to stay private and mind your biz.